What's up everyone? Mayor of Budget Town here to bring you a build I've been really excited for. Today we're going to be building the Bakeneko60 from Canon Keys. The Bakeneko comes in a pretty simple box with minimal branding, but don't let that fool you. Cut the tape and inside you'll find a very nice carrying case. All black with bright purple accents and a very nice texture. Inside of the case you'll find a bag with your cherry PCB clip-in stabs, another smaller bag with the daughter board screws, Allen key and bump-ons, the daughter board, an FR4 plate, the gummy O-ring, a JST cable, and a hot swap PCB. All of this is just what's included in the kit, but Canon Keys does offer several add-ons on their website as well, such as extra PCBs, both hot swap and solder, extra plates but only FR4, different O-ring options, extra daughter boards and JST cables, and wrist rests. And finally we have the case. The case comes wrapped in this nice cloth, snugly set in plenty of foam and held in place by Velcro straps for safety and travel. I decided to mix it up a little with this one, and I got the whitish colorway, which is finished with a powder coating process instead of painting, resulting in a nice matte finish. As we all probably know by now, in order to cut costs as much as possible, Canon Keys has the Bakeneko cast in aluminum instead of the more common CNCing process, but this means that it doesn't take to anodization as well as CNC'd boards. This means that it needs to be painted, and that means that it does result in some blemishes in the finish. Canon Keys does offer this in both A and B stock and is very transparent with their QC standards for both respective options, and all of it can be found on their website. I did purchase an A stock kit and I did have blemishes as expected, as well as the inside of the case being unfinished. Nothing out of their acceptable range, and I don't really notice them if I'm not looking for it. And you know, you don't see the inside of the case when it's fully built, so who really cares about that? But we can talk more about that later. Let's move on to the build. So while the PCB does support screw-in stabilizers, you actually can't use them on the backspace or the spacebar. Regular screw-ins don't leave enough room for the O-ring to seat properly, making the board unable to be assembled. Unless you want to get down and dirty DIY filing away your fancy stabs like Coley did. Oh hey, look who it is. It's Coley's little green friend. And he brought a link to their video, which I highly suggest watching. Really just A+ content over there. But, you know, finish watching this one first. Help me appease the YouTube viewer retention overlord. These come completely dry and disassembled. My spacebar wire was black for some reason, but it doesn't really matter if it works. I use my YouTube magic to tune these up in seconds and start installing them into the board. Fun fact, I installed one of the stems backwards and didn't notice until I had the board fully built. So I had to take it completely apart again. Always test your stabs, kids. This board has a nice higher-pitched sound signature that I wanted to try and take advantage of, so I'm going with Cherry Hyperglide Blacks again. Except this time I had them broken in prior to lubing them. I did end up swapping them out for Gatoron Pro Yellows on the stabilized keys, however. The Hyperglides were making my stabs sound bad. I don't know what it was, but swapping the switches fixed it completely. And with the switches magically installed, we can get the O-ring in place, slap the feet on the case, screw in the daughter board, struggle with the JST cable, mount the PCB and plate, and move on to the most exciting part, keycaps. I wanted something just as out of the ordinary for me as a white case, so I went with Polycap's Hippo from Kinetic Labs, in collaboration with one of my favorite keyboard creators, Hippiotech. I really like the design of these caps, but I never thought I'd have a build suited for them. So of course, I jumped on them as soon as I ordered the white Bakeneko. This is a dye sub PBT and primarily white with beautiful pastel purple and pink accent colors, and some of my favorite novelties in any keycap set. I mean, just look at these. I'm high-key jealous of ISO Gang because I think they got the best novelty, but this Hippo Booty inner key is still the crown jewel. Also, my color neutral desk mat did not make it in time. I was gonna just use the cloth, but I don't like the shadows it was making, so Sorry for the really bad aesthetics. Anyway, let's hear how this sounds with no mods. Okay, for $130, that's really good, especially if you like higher pitched sound. But we're not done yet. My favorite part about budget builds is modding them to sound even better. So this did seem a little bit hollow, especially around the edges. So I'm gonna put some polyfill in there to try and preserve the bounce from the O-ring. After that, I'm gonna hit it with a tape mod because I really feel like the acoustics of this board will benefit from that a lot. And that's it. This is my Bakeneko60 from Canon Keys. Okay, so I really love this board. It has its cons that I'll go over, but it also brings a ton of pros to the table as well. The biggest of which is the price point. $130 for this and everything that came in the package. Add some switches and some keycaps and you've got a build. Canon Keys offers an assortment of spare and extra parts on their website, which is always something you love to see. The O-ring mount provides a very comfortable typing experience. It's not the most flexible by any means, but it provides a nice bounce when you hit a key. It also makes this board very easy to disassemble, which is an unbeatable advantage if you like to tinker with your boards a lot. The Bakeneko does have its downfalls though. If you pull out a corner switch while the O-ring is installed, it will snap in. You'll have to remove the plate and PCB assembly from the case to fix it. It's a minimal problem, but worth noting. The case can be pingy, especially towards the sides. It is pretty easily remedied with polyfill or other dampeners though. The included stabs are not the best. They took a little more tuning than usual to get perfect, and you can't really swap them out unless you want to modify possibly expensive aftermarket stabilizers, but I got them there eventually. There is only one plate type available on Canon Keys' website, but the Bakeneko is an open source project, so it should be easy for you to get a custom one made in whatever material you want. The biggest flaw of all though has to be the finish. The Bakeneko has to be painted or sandblasted because the normal anodization doesn't take to cast aluminum like it takes to CNC'd aluminum. And this does result in blemishes on visible parts of the case, but using this cast aluminum is a big part of how they've kept the cost so low. Canon Keys has done a great job about being transparent with all of this though. You can easily find their quality standards for the Bakeneko on the product page. It's really up to your personal preference whether this is acceptable to you or not. To me, however, it is. Even with that list of cons, the Bakeneko60 comes in swinging with the pros. It is an amazing board at an amazing price point, and Canon Keys does their best to keep it in stock at all times. It's a great gateway for newcomers to the hobby, and it's also a great keyboard for experienced builders to tinker with, since it's so easy to disassemble. If you've been considering this board, I would highly recommend it. 100% worth it to me. But what are your thoughts on the Bakeneko60? Do you think it's going to replace the almighty Tofu? Let me know in the comments. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. If you liked what you saw, hit that like button. If you're not already, hit that subscribe button while you're there. We just hit that 100 sub goal, and I can't really tell you how grateful I am for the support. It really does mean the world to me. Thank you again, everyone, and I'll see you in the next one.